Okay, we're chilling. I got the recording thing. Okay.
Okay. So, Leia, once you start, we'll start off with some introductions and then we'll talk about the structure of all this and we'll just go on with the questions then. Sounds good?
Yeah. We can just start like right now.
Okay. So, let's have Vulcan introduce ourselves first and then we can have the Berkeley team introduce you guys based on whatever order you want. So, as an introduction, um, hi, we are Vulcan Robotics. This is 3 members of our 10-member team. We're a community team from the Foster City, San Mateo region. So basically, like across the bridge from Berkeley. And we're a bunch of high schoolers. We come together. We're from different schools, and we compete in the First Tech Challenge competition. So it starts like September, ends March, April for us, and yeah, we're really excited to learn about how you guys organize yourselves, what your competition looks like, how your team runs as a whole. So I'm Harry, I'm our co-captain.
I'm Leia. I'm the design lead.
And I'm Christina. I'm one of the newcomers this year.
If you guys
Cool.
want to just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we can get started on introducing ourselves. I just want to confirm, because I don't see any like this meeting is being recorded thing. Are you guys okay with the recording? Like, do you
Yeah.
want it? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're Team Aerospace. We build competitive aircrafts for the SAE Design West competition that happens every year. And that essentially means the competition rules get modified every 3 years or something. And essentially the goal is to carry a bunch of weight as efficiently as possible. And so, for example, last year that weight included steel plates as well as football, or I'm from India, soccer balls. And so essentially it's building an aircraft around those requirements that's as efficient as possible, minimizing the weight of the aircraft itself so that we can carry as much actual payload. I'm the president, I'm Naisha. Hi guys, nice to meet you. And I'm gonna let everyone else introduce themselves.
Do you want to like maybe popcorn it to like another person?
Yeah, Dylan, Trevor. Dylan, do you want to go first?
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm the Structures and Integration Lead.
Trevor, do you want to go next?
I'm Trevor. I'm the Aerodynamics Team Lead.
Ben?
I'm Ben. I'm the Computational Fluids Dynamics Sub-Team Lead and also the Aero Advisor.
Fernando?
Fernando, I am the Fuselage Team Lead.
Ethan?
I'm Ethan. I'm the electrical lead.
Cool. Aaron?
I'm Aaron, and I'm the tails sub.
Sweet. And so that's essentially our team. Again, all of these fuselage, tail, etc. They're, of course, subcomponents of the aircraft itself. And all of these guys are very critical to us actually putting a plane out there that can fly.
Got it. Sounds cool. And what does your competition season look like? You said they update it every 3 years, so does the competition span 3 years or is it by year?
Yeah, the competition itself is yearly, but it is the same set of design requirements for 3 years because they essentially give you the opportunity to go into competition and fail for 2 years until you come up with your best design on the 3rd year. And so, for example, that football thing has been the requirement of the competition since I joined the team, which was my freshman year 3 years ago. And this year we have a completely new set of requirements. So last year, for example, the objective was to minimize our wingspan, so as short of a wing as possible. And this year it's the exact opposite. They want us to maximize the wingspan and make it like as long as possible within a certain limit. And so those are the kinds of changes that they kind of implement. And so yeah, it's very entertaining because you go to competition on the 3rd year and everyone has very crazy designs because they've been optimizing and modifying their design for 2 years, crashing and failing until on the 3rd year, you really come up with something that's really cool to look at. So quite an exciting competition and a journey.
So would you say like each cycle or like I guess each season for you guys is that like a 3-year long process? Like that's cool.
Kind of. I mean, we build a prototype plane every year that flies in competition, but at the same time, the requirements remain the same for 3 years. So for example, if you want to minimize your wingspan, for 3 years, you have to think about how can I make my wingspan shorter and still produce the same amount of lift and still carry the maximum amount of weight, as compared to you like focusing on shortening the wingspan 1 year and then like the next year you have to make it as long as possible. So kind of 3 years, but it's also a yearly thing. I hope that makes sense.
That's cool. I guess it leads into like our first question, which is like, what does your design process like look like as a team, and how do you guys like come up with your different iterations?
Okay, I'm gonna let Trevor and Dylan answer that question as structures and aero leads. Do you guys want to talk about what your design process looks like?
Sure, I can take it. So I think as a team, as a whole, we have to pretty much break our design into a bunch of subcomponents. As you heard, like we have our fuselage, tail, aerodynamics here. Like it's a bunch of different components because there's so much that goes into an aircraft. So it's difficult to sort of all work cohesively on everything. So on the structure side, I'll say we essentially break the plane into 3 main components. We have the fuselage, which is the main body. There's the tail, which could vary from year to year. It could be like a boom tail or like a conventional tail. And then you have the landing gear. So I think in general, we kind of start off with the same process for all 3. We kind of just brainstorm a bunch of ideas. You know, no idea is too crazy, basically. Whatever you think could help maximize the score during competition, that's, you know, we say like, hey, you know, maybe that's a good idea. And then we see if it's feasible. We start doing some analysis and things like that. And eventually, you know, each sub-team is going to converge on some design. And that's when we really start, you know, CADing it, and we start going through like full analysis on it, and then we start manufacturing it.
That's super cool. Out of curiosity, like, do you guys use like, do you guys use like SolidWorks or like Fusion or like SolidWorks?
Yeah, so our team as a whole, we've kind of always used SolidWorks, and I guess to be honest, it's difficult to transition just because like most of our stuff is in SolidWorks already, and most of us are, I guess, most comfortable with SolidWorks. But yeah, we primarily use SolidWorks.
Nice, nice. Harry, do you want to take the next question?
Oh, are we just skipping all the icebreakers?
Oh, we can do icebreakers too. We were just gonna like sprinkle in icebreakers like alongside actual like solid interview questions. Because that's how we usually do our interviews. But yeah,
All good, whatever works for you guys.
Okay, Harry, you want to do the icebreaker then?
All right, so what is your guys' favorite trend from 2022? This can be like a food trend, clothing trend, like speaking, like lingo, whatever it is. We can bounce it between my team and y'all's team, however you guys want to answer this.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but we're Berkeley mechanical engineers. I don't know how familiar we're gonna be with like trends. I don't want to speak for the rest of ASA, but I personally, why don't you guys start?
Dude, who made this question?
I don't know. I looked on like I think I looked on Reddit for like good icebreaker questions. I just like added them in, but
I don't know any trends either. There.
I'm sure you
Here,
do.
I can go first.
Please.
So I guess my favorite fashion trend was sort of the move towards very wide leg pants. I've always hated very tight, skinny jeans or tight jeans and everything. I've never fit into them nicely, so I'm very happy that we're all embracing very wide-legged pants now. My thighs are thinking yes. So
Yay! Out of curiosity, like, do you prefer like more like cargo oriented like wide leg pants, or like more slacks, like loose, like?
I've sort of been trying with like more pleated pants. I just like very wide leg has been a lot of fun. I'm not a huge fan of like sort of like the ballooning effect around the thigh and then converging at the ankle with like the cargo pants. You know, I'm not a huge fan of like having that constraint around my ankles. I've hated that in my sweatpants as well. So Yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
I'm not a fan of that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
This is intriguing. Do you think college trends are different from high school trends? They've got to be, right?
Have you guys heard of the word Riz? Out of curiosity.
Dude, you just DH it so bad.
What
We're
is this?
like kid.
Wait, Aisha, you've really never heard of Riz, bro?
I really don't know. I think
Oh,
honestly, I
God.
think I'm also at a disadvantage because I don't have TikTok, and it seems to me like a lot of these trends come from TikTok.
It's like
So
it's like
I-
the TikTok to like Instagram Reels to YouTube Shorts pipeline. It like
Okay.
trickles down.
The issue is that I watch all of my TikToks on YouTube Shorts, so a lot of stuff doesn't make it through the like 2 layers of filters.
Same.
Which honestly, at this point, I'm glad of. I don't want to know what a Riz is. That sounds
Hey.
toxic.
Yes.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Honestly.
Any other takers, or we can move on? Okay, it's high time we move on. Back to like a robotics-y question. Like, what are some challenges you've faced so far this season? You mentioned that your design team, like you guys work on a design differently. So has it ever been that like when you put individually, like the fuselage looks good, but then when you put it in conjunction with the wings and tail or whatever, has it ever not worked out because of how someone else has been thinking?
I was going to answer, but I can see Ben and Fernando nodding so vigorously that I'm going to let y'all answer this one instead.
Go, Ben.
I don't, and this might be the one that Fernando's thinking here, but I think a couple years ago we had our fuselage was like very square at the back, and we were doing something called a boom tail, which is kind of like you think like helicopters have these long, like sort of straight. And we realized like when we were putting the designs together, they just like all of those signs are saying that this doesn't match, and it sort of led us to last minute change our configuration. So yeah, there's definitely been times where having each sub team design their own thing, sometimes when they come together don't exactly line up perfectly.
Any other challenges this season, or like previous as well, either?
I think, yeah, very, very along those lines. Part of the challenge also in terms of being a student team is managing, I feel like, classes versus the actual like club work. And so one of the biggest challenges is setting deadlines, right? Because our competition is once a year. Everything that happens before the competition is left entirely onto the team to manage. And so when designs are completed, what the deadlines are, when we're going to start writing design reports, whether we're doing design reviews or not, that's all something that we have to come up with ourselves and ask ourselves, what's a realistic timeline for us to finish? I mean, at the end of the day, an aircraft is pretty complicated to make, right? So like we have to ask ourselves, how much time do we realistically need to be doing all of this mathematical analysis to translate that into design and, you know, finally into manufacturing? And so that's one of those really fun things, fun, but at the same time challenging, which is sitting down all of us as a team and coming up with those kind of milestones for us to achieve. And when such things are achieved, it's very nice. One of the past challenges we've had is, for example, manufacturing, right? Like parts are supplied late, or like they don't arrive on time, or we're just, you know, lazy with manufacturing, or we don't have the time to do it. So there have definitely been some late night manufacturing sessions with no sleep, as I'm sure everyone can attest to. But at the end of the day, so far, touch wood, everything has worked out. So it is good to deal with those challenges. Good bonding opportunity.
Cool. Next question is an icebreaker from Christina.
What's your favorite song or artist?
I think Vulcan, we want to go first, and then we can go through everybody on their team. Leia.
Sure. Me? I've been listening to a lot of Tyler the Creator and a lot of R&B and rap as of late. But yeah, also enjoy rock and stuff.
Okay, nice. I've been listening to a lot of Paul Desmond and Chet Baker. Christina?
I don't know. I've been getting into shoegaze lately. So yeah.
Okay.
I feel pretty old. I don't know who any of these people are, but Taylor Swift, does that make
Let's go.
I've also been, there's no like one, oh, I guess I really like Coldplay. That is like the one OG classic that stop laughing, Ethan.
Coldplay's pretty good. I mean,
Coldplay's really nice. Like
yeah.
that's not, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you, Leah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call someone out. Fernando, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I grew up listening to a lot of rap and hip hop also, mostly old school West Coast stuff. On a Popcorn and Dylan.
Oh God. Okay. So I have weird music taste. I guess I like the Rex. I've been into the Rex lately. It's sort of an alt rock, kind of indie rock band. I guess that's generally what I'm into. So yeah.
You're supposed to call out someone else.
Oh shoot. Sorry. I guess Trevor hasn't gone.
I've been listening to a group called Electric Guest. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but a friend showed it to me.
Wait, are they the one who made Troubleman?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Nice.
But
Yeah, I'd be surprised if this overlaps with anyone, but like UK rap, I listen to a lot of Dave. I think I know that. Aaron, I'll let Aaron go.
What?
We're talking
Aaron, what's your
about
favorite music / band?
I don't. I mean, I listen to Eurobeat. You probably don't know what that is, but it's like this high energy music from the 90s.
Interesting.
That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Ethan, you want to close us off with some amazing music knowledge since you were laughing at my Coldplay?
Yeah, I can't believe we're the same age, Naisha. That shocks me every time. Yeah, I like a lot of different types of music. So I'm a huge fan of J. Cole. Also a big fan of a lot of like 80s, 90s. I have a Bowie poster, a Clash poster, and a Cure poster in my room. So I would say that's some of the big ones, but I have a ton of like album covers that are all over my walls and everything. So yeah.
Wait, did you say The Cure?
Yeah.
Let's go. I love The Cure.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you guys listen to when you guys are in the workshop?
Like I know from like for us we have like a Vulcan like playlist. It's like collaborative on Spotify and we just add random stuff.
We should make one of those.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Need a playlist.
Yeah, last year when Pablo and I, so Pablo was he I guess graduated in the fall, but he was our VP. He was our structures lead last year. When we were doing one of our like full day grinds, he just put on like a huge grunge rock playlist. Yeah, I don't know. We listened to it all
Which is
day,
actually so funny because Pablo's usual music taste is like soft boy indie, and like every time I'm in his car, he's always playing the most depressing songs, and he's like, no, it's happy. And like for reference, Pablo is like this buff, like super tall, lanky, like bodybuilder type of guy. Not the type of person you would expect listens to like soft emo shit.
We're about to get demonetized on YouTube.
Oh,
after that.
I'm sorry. But yeah.
Dang, the duality of man. Alright. Should we move on to let's move on to the next actual like interview question. I think Christina, you wanna take that one?
Yeah, sure. What are some unique aspects of your team that you love?
I think I'm gonna let everyone talk about kind of what their favorite part of ASAE is, but like my favorite thing is that we're smaller as compared to some of the larger aerospace / mechanical engineering teams on campus. And what that does is that it allows us to be really close with each other. So like, for example, I feel like so far we've been kind of bantering with each other. You guys can see how tightly knit we are. But from freshman year, one of the best things about this club, in my opinion, was the fact that like it's a bunch of people who are very passionate about thing A being aerospace / aerodynamics. coming together to build something, and it's that kind of community that's really special to clubs, especially in an environment like Berkeley where clubs can sometimes be overly competitive. So I think the community, is what we have that it makes us unique. I will popcorn. Aaron, do you want to go next?
What? Sorry. I wasn't listening.
Yeah, I can tell. What is your favorite thing about Aerospace?
Oh, yes, I like airplanes. But on a more serious note, I do actually like airplanes a lot. Like basically since I was 5, I've been like drawing airplanes, and then I got into like designing airplanes, and now I'm building sort of airplanes. And yeah, it looks like in the future I will actually be building real airplanes. So giving me a lot of good experience as well. That's about all I have to say.
Cool. I'm just gonna call on someone next. Ben, do you want to go next?
Yeah, kind of echo a little bit what other people said so far. I feel like everyone who's a big part of the team I know very well at this point. And so I really like that aspect. I've worked at like companies who do planes and space stuff, and very much that's not the case. Like at least in real life, when you're doing that stuff, required to be too big. But at the same time, this club allows you to like do stuff that will get you to those places and are like good experiences. So I really find it to be like a nice happy medium between everything.
Do you want to call in someone else? Should I do it?
Call him Dylan, sure.
I mean, yeah, I think you guys kind of hit it right on the head. I mean, yeah, it's like I think it's pretty rare to find teams that are as close as we are. Like, I guess yeah, it's more than a team; it's more so a community. I mean, yeah, that was essentially already said. But I guess I will say like it's very rewarding when you work on something and you can watch it like fly. Like watching it actually fly in the end is probably one of the best feelings I've ever felt. So yeah. I guess Fernando.
I really enjoy how collaborative the team is and how you can really ask anybody for help during the sessions, those late night workshop sessions. Everybody's chipping in, everybody's putting a hand in to make the end goal happen. And it's just great being able to have a team that you can rely on to help out and to ask for anything you need, basically. So that, it just goes back to how it's a community, but specifically how much you can rely and lean on each other. I'm gonna popcorn over to Ethan.
Not to sound like a broken record, but the community, I would say everyone on the team is like super chill and super nice, and it's definitely a lot different from like what you hear about like high stress engineering school where everyone's like cutthroat, but it's really not like that. There are a ton of good people here just looking to have a good time and do what they love.
Yeah, and then I think I'll kind of touch on that as well. I think that one of the big things is how we really focus on training new members and really allowing the club to like benefit them as well. During the fall semester, we have a lot of training sessions on a wide variety of stuff, structures and aerodynamics, and CFD all kind of run their own trainings. And it's really, we have a big focus on how the club can help our members as well as kind of like training them to help us in our goal as well.
So like a small question, like how many people are in like your team, like total? Like I understand you guys are all like leads of like of your respective like subdivisional like teams, but like how many people like in general?
I think the numbers really fluctuate year to year. I would say we have over 100 members, but in terms of active members, people who actually show up repeatedly to meetings and like contribute in terms of manufacturing and stuff, I would say it's more down to like 30 to 35 probably. I feel like that's a good estimate.
That's fair.
Cool. So we'll move on to an icebreaker really fast and back to a question. feel like this probably is more applicable to y'all than previous ones. Do you guys prefer tea or coffee? Personally, I like tea.
And if so, what kind of tea and what kind of coffee?
Yeah.
I can go first. I'm a chai person. Have you guys ever tried like actual chai before? I'm a huge snob, like where chai comes in, like in my family back home. Everyone in my family has a different way of preparing chai, and like no one likes each other's chai, and so I'm a huge like chai snob. But I don't like coffee. So like if I'm going to a coffee shop, it's usually for like hot chocolate or something.
Quick question. Oh, what are
Oh,
your
sorry, go
thoughts on what are your thoughts on Starbucks chai?
Oh my God, please! I am so offended.
Just
Like,
had to ask that.
I hate to say it, but like the Indian blood in my veins is boiling. Like, if it's not coming out of tea leaves, it's not chai. And I like, what the hell is chai latte anyway? Like, why is there a latte in front of it? I don't understand. Also, chai tea, why is that a thing? It's just like, why do people say that? But it's fine, it's okay. God bless America.
Oh God. Oh God.
So just kidding. Dylan, do you want to go next?
I'm definitely a coffee person. I guess honestly, whatever's fine, but I definitely have a sweet tooth, so just put some caramel in it and that'll be like perfect. Yeah, I guess Ben.
Yeah, I fall on the tea side. Big English breakfast tea fan. But outside of that, anything sort of more florally, big fan of. But yeah, not a huge coffee person. And I don't know if someone from Team Vulcan wants to go here, so we can back and forth.
Oh yeah. I enjoy a variety of teas and coffees. Recently, I've been getting into. I tried making my own chai a while ago, but I kind of failed. And then I like matcha. Matcha's pretty cool. And as for coffee, I really enjoy, like, I discovered shaked espresso a while ago, and that's been really good. And Americanos are good too.
I'm very curious. How exactly did you fail in making chai?
I don't know. It tasted really burnt. I think it's the type of tea leaves I used. Because they were like really, really loose. So by the end, like all the dredged, like tea leaves were like hanging out, and it was like not very pleasant.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Christina, you want to go?
I actually don't have a preference. Like sometimes if I want like a caffeinated drink or something, I just like eeny meeny miny mo it. I don't know. It all tastes good.
Fair.
Our team actually really likes Monster.
Oh my god. We have this one member who's like he's like crazy about his monster. Like every single time we have like a late night like grind session, he's always like, "Can I get some monster, please?" So we have to
Nah,
keep the
but
pantry like stocked.
this dude goes in from like 9 a.m. to like tomorrow's 9 a.m. So he goes and chugs the Monster and he just grinds. But go on. Yeah, you guys.
That sounds rough. That also sounds exactly like Pablo with his Coca brew. Sorry.
Every team has one, I guess. If one of you has one.
I'm personally a coffee guy. Just purely for the caffeine. I don't really care for the taste too much, but I do love a nice vanilla natural cold brew from Starbucks when I feel fancy.
I'd go next. I think for me also cold brew, but I either like it black or just like a little bit of either oat or almond milk in it.
Nice.
I tend to stay away from caffeine as much as possible just because it gives me the jitters. So I've never been a coffee guy, but I drink boba tea sometimes. I'm gonna pass it to Aaron.
I drink coffee in the morning and then porridge in the afternoon, and I don't like green tea. That stuff is disgusting.
Whoa. Whoa. I feel offended.
Okay. I think that was everybody. So back to a question. What is each of your favorite, what is a component from each of you guys that was your favorite from either this season or last season? I know you guys probably are going to have a preference for the thing that you guys worked on, but like in general.
Ben, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll take it. I mean, I'm probably the only one here who Subteam doesn't have any direct ownership over any part. But I would say my favorite component is definitely the ailerons of the plane. I think it's just like one of the more challenging components to design for, and like, well, maybe last year's could have been executed a little better, and we're working on it. But it's cool to see like all the design decisions eventually trickle down, and then when our plane worked, it was satisfying to know that we didn't mess it up, and the complicated designs in the end were sufficient.
For some context, could you tell us like what did you say like a
Aileron. It's basically on the plane's wing. There's the flaps on the end. They basically turn the plane. So like you have to like size them so they don't like not too big, not too small. If it's too big, you can't like move them. It's a lot of
they go like this.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. You got it. I would guess that answer might come up for other people here too. Just predicting.
Trevor, do you want to go next?
Sure. I think for me, it'll be the horizontal stabilizer, and that's just basically on the tail, the part that's kind of flat and goes horizontal. And that's because when I joined my sophomore year, my first year in the club, that was kind of the component that I took ownership of and designed. And then kind of my next year, I was control surfaces lead, so I oversaw and kind of helped with the design of that. And then kind of this year, I'm still like overseeing the design, so it's just kind of I've gotten to see different iterations of it, and kind of it's kind of ties to how I got into the club and into this position.
Ethan?
As electrical lead, I don't really do a lot of the plane stuff, but I think the most fun thing was going and testing our incredibly dangerous thrust test cart thing. It was essentially just like a prop with like an IMU Arduino system, and we just like spin it really fast in a circle so we could get thrust as a function of velocity. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We got burritos and everything, so we made a little day out of it. Yeah, it was very dangerous, and yeah, that was fun though.
It wasn't that bad. He's overselling the danger.
Yeah, no, Ben. We just like hit on the other side of the room, outside of direct line of sight, because for the fun of it.
Dylan, do you want to go next?
Sure. I guess I have to say landing gear. I joined the club being like working on the landing gear. And I guess like to be honest, coming into the club, I like who thinks of landing gear as part of a plane, right? You think of like the wings, dynamics, whatever. But like once I started working on it, like so design, positioning, sizing, everything. It's so yeah, I just really enjoyed like learning about all that. So probably land gear.
I think also the fascinating thing about landing gear is it's kind of our most experimental component, in the sense that that's where we implement a lot of the new softwares that we get introduced to. For example, this year we're using SolidWorks generative design, which is essentially that you give it like a piece of metal and you ask it to optimize for weight or et cetera, and strength. And I think that's what they're using on landing gear this time, which is pretty cool because it kind of is a leeway into the rest of the club using stuff like that. Fernando, do you want to go next?
I would say my favorite component of the fuselage is the wing mount, just because it's not something that's obvious when you look at the plane externally. And so you don't really think about it until you have to build a plane, and then you have to figure out how to attach the wing to the rest of the plane. I'm going to pass it to Aaron.
I mean, there's only really one part I've worked on. It's the tail. Although 2 years ago I did design the wing mount. I don't know. I guess I'm pretty excited about, because the thing is, this year we're designing a modular plane. It's part of the rules. I'm kind of excited about testing these couplers because, well, I don't know why I'm excited about it, because it's probably going to be pretty painful. But,
Dang.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm pretty optimistic in our couplers, Aaron. I don't think it's gonna be bad. I believe in you. I guess I'm the only one left. I'm gonna say something that's not technically a component of the plane, but my favorite part of the entire thing was getting to sign our plane. So we like signed the actual model of the aircraft. And it's super cool because that exact model that flew in competition is intact and it's in one of the mechanical engineering buildings right now. So anyone who comes into the building can see that aircraft, and it's right next to like Formula SA's huge car. And so that's pretty cool because it's just sitting there ready to take off, and at any point you can put a propeller on and like, fly it in the air. And it's nice because we get to name it and like sign it and everything. So not a technical component, but definitely one of the fun, like permanent parts of being in the club.
What'd
Yeah.
you guys,
Leaving our mark.
what'd you guys name it like last year?
So we have a tradition that whoever does registration gets to name it. And the person who did it last year named it Bear Liner because bear, Cal bears. I don't know if you guys got that or not. But
Yeah.
So
Fernando
spirited.
has to. Yeah. Fernando has to come up with a name this time. So yeah, you have a very big responsibility.
So, speaking of Cal, how do you guys all like it at Berkeley as a student there? Like the life or the academics or anything about it?
I can go first. I think definitely coming to Cal again. I don't know if you guys know or not, but I'm not from here. I'm from India. Only have mentioned it like twice or thrice. But yeah, I think it was like a huge change for sure coming from like a completely different country. And I think Cal is a really very inclusive, especially Mechie at Cal is very inclusive as a major. Like everyone is really nice and like really out there to help each other. That's not to say that the classes aren't stressful or that we don't have like any social life, or like managing work-life balance can be a bit challenging in the first couple of years. But it's definitely very rewarding. Like I've met some of the smartest people and some of them are in this Zoom call itself. And it's really nice to get to work with so many like really cool people on projects that that you never would have imagined in high school would even exist. Like I didn't even know what CAD was when I came here. And then I was like, wow, you can do so much. That's really nice.
Oh, I want to point out, she said only some of them are in this Zoom call.
Oh my god.
It's good. You
Personally,
gotta keep them
guys.
guessing.
Dang.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Sorry, I'm just joking. I know
No,
you
no.
guys are very tight.
Personally, I wouldn't let that slide. You guys.
The rest of the team.
Personally, just saying.
Guys, we're not here to sow division in this team.
Okay. I will not instigate, not today.
Does anyone want to go next? Anyone have any burning?
I'll go next
Berkeley.
as one of the people she was talking about. I have a very different experience from actually being from India. More similar to you guys. I went to high school in San Jose, so relatively local, and Cal has been great so far. I really enjoy it. Classes are great, but really the thing I enjoy the most about it is like there's like so many opportunities to really do like whatever you want. If you have an interest for it, there's so many people here. Someone else will be interested in that. Like I'm part of this club, part of another club too. It's even more niche. Do research, can do a bunch of different stuff. So if you have an interest, you can do it here. That's really what I love the most about it.
Oh, also, as you guys go, do you guys just want to tell us, like, real quick, like, what year you're in, and, like,
I'm a senior. Ben here is a senior too.
Same. I'm also a senior.
Trevor, do you want to go next?
So I'm also a senior, and I think coming to Cal is definitely a big change for me as well. So I grew up in the Central Valley, a very small town, so the population was like 7,000. So coming to Berkeley, there are many more students than there was people in my entire town. And so just like the opportunities and just the amount of people and different interests and things that like Ben was talking about is a very big change, but also one that I really enjoyed. And I think I agree with Nyesha too, where how pretty much everyone in mechanical engineering, like everyone's so collaborative. It's very easy to get along with lab mates, classmates, and also kind of people in the club. It's always been a very welcoming environment, and that's something I've really enjoyed. Especially because there are times that the classes get stressful, but it's kind of like a comforting thing where you're not the only one that's stressed. So it's kind of before I came to Cal, I did like a tour, and one of the tour guides was engineering major, and she's like, "Yeah, we're really stressed, but you know, all engineering kids are just stressed together, so it really brings us together." And it's true, but makes the experience good.
Bonding over collective pain. Man. Do you
That
want to
should
call on
honestly.
someone?
Oh, sorry.
No, you can go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that should be the tagline for Berkeley, especially Berkeley engineering. But yeah, Ethan, do you want to go next?
Yeah, no, I've definitely enjoyed my time at Cal. I actually did FTC in high school, and yeah, I was in SoCal, but I think it was just like a huge difference, like going from that. I don't know if I was just like really dumb in high school or something, but like just like the level that you jump off to from that to like college is like absolutely insane. You just like learn so much. I'm more of a robotics guy myself. That's why I do the electrical stuff. But like the classes here are just like super, super cool, very project oriented, tons of fun. And I mean, I've talked to a lot of other kids going to other schools, and like, no offense, but like they're taking a lot of like really boring classes that like they just don't have like cool stuff that they do here. So, you know, very blessed to be able to take some of these really cool courses. And yeah, the people here are super cool, and like the city's just like so diverse, and you can really just like be whoever you want to be, and really no one cares, and you'll find other people who are like you. So yeah, it's awesome.
Out of curiosity, like which FTC team were you part of?
I think it was 6226 Bambusa. Yeah, that was our team. I don't know if it exists anymore, actually. I think our high school got like a little bit. I don't know if anyone was really that interested in robotics. We had like 3 teams, so I think they axed our team. So I'm a little salty about that. But, yeah.
Dang.
Dylan, do you want to go next?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I guess I'm from SoCal, so yeah, same as Ethan. I think so. So I'm from LA, and I guess the biggest difference there is like, I feel like in SoCal everything's a lot more spread out, and so I've had my first real city experience here. Like Berkeley is a really like compact city, I would say. And it's been cool. Like I realized I really like it. You can essentially get anywhere by walking, and it's really fun. And yeah, so okay, so you guys are probably going to get a major mechanical engineering bias here because we're all mechanical engineers. But I think like the mechanical engineering community is so great. Like it's not as competitive as people would say, or it's not competitive in general. I think you're more of you're more competing against yourself. I think is the way I would put it. And yeah, just like everyone else said, it's really collaborative. The classes are great, and you got to work on things that are really cool. Like a lot of a lot of classes are like project oriented, as Trevor mentioned, or Ethan, I forgot one of them.
I am taking a bunch of, so I'm also kind of on the robotics track, and I'm taking a bunch of like electronic engineering / like CS classes right now. And I can 100% personally attest to the fact that mechie people are so much nicer. Like CS majors are just, I think they just take a little getting used to work with them. Not to throw shade on anyone. Fernando, do you want to go next?
Yes, so I grew up here in the Bay Area, so I'm kind of used to the surrounding environment. But what I wasn't used to was just the rigor and level of competition, which has actually turned out to be a great thing for me. I really enjoy being around people that are tough and have a can-do attitude, and it just really forces me to step my game up every day, and I really enjoy that because I feel like I'm getting better, by leagues. I'm gonna popcorn to Aaron.
Yeah, I'm from Irvine, which is in SoCal. Rigor rigor-wise and competition-wise, it's pretty similar. I mean, my high school was, it wasn't the best in Irvine, but like it was pretty competitive anyways. In terms of Berkeley itself, you know, when I first got here, I did not like it, and frankly, I just don't like cities in general. I like the SoCal sprawl. I like sunny weather, wide streets, stuff like that, basically. But Berkeley, despite being not necessarily ideal for me, has its charm as well. Although the hills are still a bit too steep. I can't ride up them with my scooter, and that's a bit annoying. But yeah, apart from that, it's a pretty good road. So.
Nice.
The steep hills are pretty much the reason why I don't make it on time to basically anything. Because I live at the bottom of the hill and I have to climb 20 minutes uphill. But then at least, like, when I grow up, I can tell my kids, like, I climbed the hill to go to school. What are you doing?
Oh my god.
You're gonna be that, Mom? Oh my god.
Oh,
Poor
You
children.
gotta carry that Asian heritage through.
no. Oh no.
I really
Facts.
feel like I should not be saying this stuff. Anyway, what is your guys' next question?
Do you guys happen to have any like advice for like teams, I guess like high school robotics teams or like younger high schoolers who are striving to like, pursue a major in like mechanical engineering or like electrical engineering in their future? Like ever since you guys have like, I guess like started to pursue that more rigorously in your university.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can go first. One of the biggest things is having been a part of student teams in school as well, or in high school. This is not necessarily related to advice for major per se, but I would say that one of the most important things is kind of knowing how to not take yourself too seriously. Like I know when I was in my high school team, we really thought that it was the be all end all. Like if X thing did not happen for a competition, then it was like the end of the world. And honestly, like when you get to college, you realize that it's you can give yourself a bit more break, maybe cut yourself a little more slack, allow yourself to take breaks and have off days where you're not doing anything. And that's kind of relevant for when you come to college as well, is because you don't want to burn yourself out when you're in high school, because college is going to be a whole other game. But in terms of like becoming mechanical engineers, it's really cool that you guys have that kind of robotics experience early on, and really thinking about what aspect of that entire robotics journey do you enjoy the most? Like, is it the coding? Is it the product design aspect of things? It's helpful to kind of identify niche interests that you might have early on. That way, when you get to college, you can specifically like align your major or your course of study in a way that you can pick up more projects that help you develop skills in an area that you might be interested in. Because Mechie, for example, is a very vast field. You can do practically anything with a mechanical engineering degree. And so one of the things that could be a little bit challenging for someone new into it is identifying which specific like substream to go into, because there are so many. And so definitely thinking about, do you enjoy fluids or like product design, math stuff, coding stuff? Doesn't have to be anything too specific, but just having basic ideas is good coming into college. I'll popcorn Ben. I don't know why I said Benjamin. Ben.
Yeah, I would say like maybe the most important thing is like, and this speaks for people I know from Berkeley or outside Berkeley too, like very much just like having a passion, like interest in like what you're working on is like the most important. Like for instance, outside of airplanes and stuff, I do a lot of bike stuff, and like, well, maybe not like the most flashy things in the world, like because I enjoy them so much, I sort of put a lot of time to them. And this also applies to like when I was in high school. I very much worked on doing bike stuff. That's kind of what got me here. And so like maybe don't like follow what you're interested in, and like if it's not interesting to you, like just like move on, go to like something else. Like you'll find what you really want to, because nothing like sucks more the engineering field. I feel like everyone here can talk to you like there's like a class that they took that they really didn't enjoy, but you got to take it, and it's like way worse to do that and just like sort of, if on like the side of you're doing things in your free time, like you should really be making sure it's like what you enjoy. And then also being 3D, I feel like that means that like you'll put a lot of time into it, and like helps you develop far more than really anything else can. Popcorn off to Trevor here.
Yeah, so I can't really provide any direct advice like from high school experience for like engineering or technical teams. My high school didn't really have any of those. But I think just being a part of general teams and also experiencing college, that the focus shouldn't just be on like the technical skills or stuff like that. You also have to focus on how you collaborate with others and how you're able to work on your communication, and both for communicating your ideas, but also communicating like where you don't understand other people's ideas, or kind of find ways to understand each other. And that's kind of how you'll be able to achieve the goal for the club that you'll need, but also develop skills that will be applicable in basically all fields of your life. But I think definitely for a team environment, communication and also learning how to collaborate with people from different backgrounds, different experiences, both technical and kind of life experiences as well, is a big thing to focus on, which isn't normally brought up because a lot of it's like focusing on technical skills or developing that, but team development is a huge thing as well. Popcorn to Ethan or Fernando.
You stole mine, Trevor. But I'm gonna go ahead and say public speaking is a great one to practice, just in general for work and presentations at school. I think that's something that not a lot of people get a lot of practice in. So I don't know how much you all practice that in high school, but if you don't practice it too much, I would say it's good to just get those public speaking sessions in, or do it as much as you can. Popcorn to air.
I mean, technical writing and communication in general are very important. A lot of times I can't, like when I'm standing in front of everyone else and presenting for the tail team, like I can't communicate what I want to communicate. Well, actually, that's more like what Fernandez said. Yeah, public speaking, but yeah, technical writing. I'm gonna go with that. Technical writing. So writing like, you guys do design reviews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just doing that basically. Get good at that. Especially for your project classes. If you do end up coming to Berkeley, project classes they're gonna ask you to write technical papers and stuff.
I'm just gonna follow up on that super quick before Ethan goes. The funny thing about engineering is that in a lot of times, in a lot of cases, you will be required to either dumb your project down for lay people, like business majors that you're explaining stuff to, or make it super, well, not to say, okay, not to say, in the sense that you want to explain your project in terms of non-technical terms for people, like someone on the marketing team. By comparison, if you're presenting a technical project to a professor or an advisor, and you're not using technical terms, then that undercuts the complexity of your project and actually makes it seem less impressive to the people you're presenting to in a lot of cases. So getting that knowledge, like for example, this is something that I personally also struggle with, is being able to make that switch between like really low level understanding versus high level understanding is super important. And that is usually, like, it's easier to make something simpler, but it's much harder to complicate it. And so just like early on, getting in the habit of describing something in the most, like, imagine you're explaining it to a PhD person and write it based on that. And that's usually a good way to go about technical writing / technical presentation. Cool. Ethan, do you want to go next?
Yeah. I would say that one of my, something like not very like philosophical or anything, but I think your professors are a huge indication of like how much you enjoy the class and everything. So if you like have the flexibility in your schedule, I like to pick a lot of my classes, or at least the required classes, based on teacher, and I think that's made a lot out of like situations that I think I didn't like. Like I took a fluids class last semester that I didn't think I was going to enjoy because like I don't really care about fluids. Sorry, Benjamin. But I actually did like it a lot because the professor was great and everything. So I think that really indicates sort of like the workload, the enjoyment, and then honestly the grade that you get in the end. Some professors are like evil. And then something that's not super technical is that sort of like Ben was talking about having like interests and friends outside of engineering. It's really easy to like do engineering all day and like just like be hammered in that mindset of like viewing everything in force diagrams and kinematics equations. So it's always great to sort of like reset yourself as like a human being in like the world, you know, like not everything's engineering. So just like, you know, still remember that, you know, there's life outside of that and to enjoy non-engineering.